out at STEM School Highlands Ranch and has left 8 people injured. Douglas County Sheriff's Office says they do have 2 suspects in custody. Students say they're shocked something like this would happen in the last 3 days of the school year. For more information on the shooting, you can log on to KTVL.com and click on this story. Happening right now, a live look with our News 10 tower cam of the Neil Rock fire. Oregon Department of Forestry responding to a 5-acre fire near Neil Rock between Ramsey Canyon and Meadows. Fire crews from the Medco B fire are moving out to help them. Firefighters on scene report flames are moving slowly despite winds in that area. Cause of the fire is unknown at this time. Good evening. I'm Trish Close. Brian will be back tonight at 11 o'clock. Thank you for joining us. After fighting a number of fires caused by out-of-control burns, local fire agencies are asking residents to think carefully before burning their debris. News 10's Genevieve Fong is live in White City, where a grass fire broke out earlier today. Genevieve.
Well, Trish, the Oregon Department of Forestry tells me this is the 4th escaped burn their crews have responded to within the last few days. Now, what happened here on a property off of Corey Road in White City is that it was a burn pile that got out of control, quickly grew into a grass fire about 1/10 of an acre large with flames up to 10 feet high. Now, Jackson Fire District 3, who assisted with the call, says the crews were able to contain the fire quickly without any property damage or injuries. Now, if you are planning on burning, firefighters say you should have the proper equipment ready and available in case that fire does start to spread. Now, just because you are allowed to burn, fire agencies say you should take the weather conditions into consideration before starting any fires.
The biggest fear right now for probably us and our residents is that we're coming out of a couple years of pretty strong fire seasons, and we're happy that people are doing the work around their home to prevent those fires around their home, but just being safe, and we ultimately don't want them to get out of control and then spread.
Ashley Blakely from Fire District 3 says an open burn is not the only option. There are other alternatives, including shipping the debris or dropping it off at biomass or road disposal. Now, if you're wondering whether or not you are allowed to burn in Jackson County, you can contact this number at the bottom of the screen. Just remember to keep an eye out on your pile and to put it out in case the weather conditions do change. With your connection to White City, Genevieve Fong, News 10.
Good advice. Thank you, Genevieve. Open burning is now suspended in the Illinois Valley after the fire district saw wind and low humidity coupled with an early drying season and no rain in the forecast. In Ashland, fire department also suspended open burns in the city. It says open burn piles increase the risk of a fire breaking out, especially as we approach closer to fire season. It's advised to have a bag of your personal belongings ready, along with a first aid kit and an evacuation plan in case you need to leave on short notice. ODF expects the Medco B fire to be fully contained soon as they reach 92% containment. More than 90 crew members are assigned to the fire. Spot fires remained a concern today for firefighters. The fire is at 345 acres. The cause is under investigation. Let's take a live look outside now with our Jackson County Expo Cam. Dry weather and low relative humidity levels are increasing wildfire danger. News 10 meteorologist Milt Radford is here with a quick look at your first alert forecast. Milt.
That's right. We still have the strong area of high pressure out over the Pacific, continuing to provide us with somewhat of a northerly flow down into the region. We've had some gusty winds at times today, still up above 22 miles per hour right now in Klamath Falls, 16 miles per hour currently in Montague. You combine this with some low relative humidities, and that increases the fire danger. Of course, we're at about 30% humidity right now in Medford. It was lower than that actually a couple of hours ago. Current temperature is mainly in the 70s at most inland locations right now. It has made it up out of the 50s to 61 in Brookings. Tonight we'll see generally 40s across most of southern Oregon and northern California. Well, coming up, we have a forecast for some warmer weather tomorrow, especially at the coast.
Milt, thank you. You can keep track of the current conditions online. Just go to KTVL.com and click on weather. An autopsy by the Jackson County Medical Examiner says 23-year-old Sierra Clemens was stabbed to death last Friday when her body was found in the bathroom of the Tiki Lodge motel in Medford. The suspect, 33-year-old Justin Graham Yeager, pleaded not guilty yesterday during his arraignment. He's charged with murder. Medford police found Graham Yeager hiding in a dumpster following this discovery of the body on Friday. His preliminary hearing is set for May 13th. Ashland City Council just hours away from deciding the fate of a new ordinance that would criminalize refusing to identify yourself to an officer. News 10's Genevieve Grippo joins us in the News Center tonight to explain the implications behind this rule. Genevieve.
Well, Trish, under this ordinance, anyone stopped by an Ashland police officer would not be able to refuse giving them their name and date of birth. The Ashland Police Department says as the law currently stands, there's nothing either locally or statewide to stop a person from simply ignoring a police officer when they ask for identification. The department says that because of that, people are going unsighted and feel like they can repeat offenses. But the American Civil Liberties Union says the ordinance would unfairly target homeless people, mainly because it's framed as a quality of life issue.
What we're seeing with the proliferation of low-level offenses in our cities and counties is that these quality of life violations are the very things, the very tools that our law enforcement is using to target the homeless population.
If passed, this crime could only be charged if a person knowingly fails to provide their ID. It would be a misdemeanor and would carry a maximum penalty of $1,250 and up to 30 days in jail. The Ashland City Council is scheduled to vote on the ordinance tonight at 7 p.m. We reached out to both the Ashland Mayor John Stromberg and the Ashland Police Department today. Neither returned our request for comment. With your connection to Ashland, Genevieve Grippo, News 10.
Genevieve, thank you. As severe weather and climate change impacts farmers nationwide, there's a new and growing movement of farmers fighting back through climate-smart farming. The goal is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and increase the farm's resiliency to extreme weather. It all begins with the soil that can actually trap carbon. Natalie Brand visited a farm in Maryland that's leading the way.
You would never guess that this field of yellow flowers is actually a large-scale family farm. Harborview Farms in Rock Hall, Maryland grows soybeans, corn, and wheat, but that's not all that's planted here.
Some wheat, some barley, and then you have crimson clover.
Trey Hill is a fourth-generation farmer and self-made environmentalist.
All by accident. It wasn't intentional.
As part of a statewide push to preserve the Chesapeake Bay in the late 1990s and prevent runoff from farms, Hill began experimenting with what's known as cover crops.
But see how deep that root was?
Turns out they preserve the soil and can help fight climate change.
These plants are sucking up carbon dioxide.
Ray Weil is a professor of soil science at the University of Maryland.
If we can take it out of the air and put it into the soil, everybody wins.
Weil works with farmers, researching and promoting climate-smart farming. This method does not use traditional tilling or plowing, which churns up the soil. Instead, it keeps it intact.
If more farms farmed like this, what impact would that have?
It would literally not only slow down, but could actually reverse climate change.
Farmland really has the capacity to sequester a lot more carbon, put it back into the soil, and by doing that, we're making the soil better.
Hill says this type of farming isn't for everyone, and it requires chemical herbicides, which makes some uneasy. But for him, the end goal is well worth it.
What are you doing for climate change, Dad? Well, this is what I'm doing. This is the best I can do, given what I know.
Hill hopes more farmers join this movement to fight climate change from the ground up. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Rock Hall, Maryland.
23 Oregon school districts will be either closed or taking a half day tomorrow. Teachers across the state will be holding a walkout to make the public aware of the financial crisis the school districts are in and to advocate for their students and colleagues. Political Action Chair of the Ashland Education Association, Kate Kennedy, says they're rallying for smaller classes, more funding, and more staff.
I feel like teachers have really tried a number of things in order to bring attention to this problem. I think that in Oregon, sometimes we need to do bigger things to get more attention. I'm walking for my young colleagues, and the job that I find is getting much, much harder for them to do.
Kennedy says they'll be doing demonstrations on the plaza to show the difference between class sizes to make the public more aware of the situations they're in. Oregon Senate Republicans take a stand this morning by walking out before a vote on a proposed $2.8 billion tax bill that would send more money to schools. The first vote this morning was scheduled for 11 o'clock, but when the Senate convened, so many Republicans boycotted the session that there weren't enough members present to hold a vote. The Senate Democratic Majority Leader chastised Republicans for choosing the nuclear option to prevent voting on the school funding bill.
It is a tremendous privilege and an honor to represent the people of our districts, and to not show up for work, not even do that basic element of showing up is just not acceptable.
Oregon Senate Republican Minority Leader released a statement saying, quote, "Education is a top priority for Republicans. I am confident we can fund our schools and solve the state's PERS crisis without crucifying businesses like House Bill 3427 will." The Senate has adjourned until tomorrow morning. Still ahead tonight on News 10 at 5, the Blazers are in Denver for pivotal game number 5. We'll have a live report next.
I'm James Rosen at the FBI, where agents today watched their leader, Director Christopher Wray, testify before Congress on a range of issues, including what President Trump calls Spygate. The details straight ahead.
Severe storms continue tomorrow over the nation's midsection. Later, we'll take a closer look at how long this dry weather will continue for us.
Presented by Builders Bargain Center. Discount building materials and everyday bargain prices.
FBI Director Christopher Wray made his annual pilgrimage to Capitol Hill to seek additional funding from lawmakers for the nation's premier law enforcement agency. But lawmakers had other issues on their minds, most notably the Mueller report and allegations the Obama administration spied on the Trump campaign. Sinclair investigative reporter James Rosen reports.
For mainstream media outlets like CNN and Politico, the major headline out of Tuesday morning's Senate subcommittee testimony by FBI Director Christopher Wray was that he quote-unquote distanced himself from testimony by Attorney General William Barr earlier this month, in which Barr said he thought spying did occur against the Trump campaign.
Well, that's not the term I would use.
Yet in eliciting that answer, New Hampshire Democrat Jeanne Shaheen only initially mentioned Attorney General Barr in his testimony about spying on the Trump campaign, calling it concerning, before posing a question to Wray that did not mention Barr at all.
When FBI agents conduct investigations against alleged mobsters, suspected terrorists, other criminals, do you believe that they're engaging in spying when they're following FBI investigative policies and procedures?
Well, that's not the term I would use.
Indeed, Wray then echoed Barr in adding that the central issue is whether the surveillance was, as Barr said, adequately predicated.
To me, the key question is making sure that it's done by the book, consistent with our lawful authorities.
Special counsel's finding is clear. Case closed.
On the Senate floor, Majority Leader Mitch McConnell urged Democrats to move on from the Mueller report and forego testimony by the special counsel, even as Republican Senator Lindsey Graham has vowed to use the Judiciary Committee to probe the alleged spying on the Trump campaign. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, the California Democrat, rushed to rebut her counterpart in the upper chamber.
Just as a matter of observation, that's just not a fact. The case is not closed.
Wray also pleaded to lawmakers for more funding for the Bureau's IT infrastructure, noting that the entire Library of Congress holds 7 petabytes of information, whereas just the FBI case file on the Las Vegas shootings alone consumed 1 petabyte. In Washington, James Rosen.
We are just 2.5 hours away from a big Game 5 for the Trailblazers. They're tied with the Nuggets at 2 games apiece. A win tonight puts them one step closer to avoiding a Game 7 on the road and sealing the deal here at home. Joe Becker is live in Denver tonight. Hey, Joe, how's it going?
Trish, it's going great. Game 5 tonight. I can't wait. I'm all excited. The players can't wait. And Blazers guard Seth Curry is so excited. He's coming off the best NBA playoff game of his career. He had 16 points in Game 4 in Portland.
It's fun, man. It's fun. It's the highest level of basketball. It's my first playoff experience, so trying to take it all in and trying to just enjoy the moment.
When you had that streak going, you had 4 threes, and you're really feeling it good. Are you wanting the ball almost every time down the floor when it's going like that?
Oh yeah, you're in a good rhythm. You feel like if you get a good look at it, it's gonna go in. So, I felt good during that first half. Was able to get a lot of opportunities to score the ball, make plays, and just trying to do that again tonight.
You and your brother are in similar situations because they're best of 3 now too. Do you talk to him very much?
During the regular season, we haven't talked too much during the playoffs. So we're both, got a lot going on and real locked into what we need to do. But I'm gonna definitely tune into all his games and hopefully we get to see him next round.
What's it like playing on this team and in Portland?
Oh, it's a great team, great environment. Everybody knows their role. I mean, obviously it's a winning organization for the past few years, been in the playoffs, so it's fun for me to come in and help them win. And the fans in Portland have been great all playoffs long. They bring that energy, and I see why it's one of the best home court advantages in the league.
And of course, Seth Curry and the Blazers are 2-2 with Denver, and his brother Steph Curry and the Warriors 2-2 with the Houston Rockets. Got Game 5 tonight here in the Mile High City. I'm Joe Becker. Trish, back to you.
Now First Alert Weather with Chief Meteorologist Milt Radford.
Some real concern about the path of some severe storms that are down over the nation's midsection, especially out of the southern plains today, and that will continue to move up and head toward the Great Lakes region over the course of the next couple of days. We could see some heavy rain, flash flooding, thunderstorms, tornado outbreaks as well as that continues to track that direction. For us, though, we're under the influence of some high pressure. We also have a little bit of a thermal trough here out toward the coast, and for the next couple of days, we'll see temperatures warming up, especially with that Chetco River drainage and some temps bumping up around the Brookings area. For tomorrow, we have very dry conditions continuing for much of the western U.S. And as we look at potential temperatures, also warm tomorrow. Again, warming primarily at the coast. We might see a degree or two warmer inland. By Thursday, though, that's when we expect the most significant warm up to come back into our area, bumping up pretty close to 90 degrees in some of the valleys and continuing there into the weekend. For tomorrow, though, we'll see some low 80s out for Grants Pass and Cave Junction. Lots of places at least in the upper 70s in southwest Oregon. We have some 60s out along the coast, and there's that warmer temperature in Brookings up to 71 degrees for a high tomorrow. Across Northern California, the temperatures will mainly be in the low 80s for highs, a little cooler at Weed, 77, a lot warmer though at Happy Camp, right around 90 for tomorrow. For the area east of the Cascades in Klamath and Lake County, we mainly will see some 70s tomorrow, but a little bit warmer temperatures for a few places west of the Cascades, including Shady Cove and Ashland at about 80 degrees, and we'll see mid-80s in Medford for tomorrow. The 7-day forecast that we have for the coast, it continues to be very dry for the next several days. We get the strongest of those Chetco effects on Thursday. Temperatures around Brookings should reach the mid-80s for a high. It'll cool back down into the 60s by this weekend. Lots of sunshine, and those temperatures still well above normal for this time of year. Northern California, a few clouds passing through at times tomorrow, but overall we're looking at mainly sunny skies for the next several days ahead. Early next week, there's a chance at some inland locations, including over the Klamath Basin, that we might see a few isolated thunderstorms. But lots of sunshine until then, should stay dry and pleasant all the way through Sunday. In fact, Saturday and Sunday in Klamath Falls, about 82 for a high. And in the Rogue Valley, we have sunshine in the forecast. We'll be close to 90 on Thursday, and we'll probably hit it on Friday and Saturday. Should be the first 90-degree days of the year. A little bit cooler after that. Same story, a slight chance of a few showers perhaps early next week. But we still got a run of quite a few more days of very warm weather.
Right, which should be a warning to all of us. We heard several reports of grass fires and out-of-control burns today on the scanner. So crews were very busy today, and that heat has something to do with it.
That's right. Low relative humidity is also, and some gusty winds we've had today too.
Exactly. Thank you, Milt. We'll be right back with more News 10 at 5.